This is item 13 on the agenda, AB 2231. Mr. Calderon, and thank you so much for presenting on his behalf.
Thank you. Tom White on behalf of Assemblymember Ian Calderon. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, AB 2231 will increase the civil penalties in care facilities for repeat violations other than death or serious bodily injury. In recent years, California increased its efforts to improve the quality of life for those in care facilities and increased oversight in those facilities to ensure that our most vulnerable populations, children and the elderly, receive the care that they deserve. In 2014, the governor signed AB 2236 by Assemblymember Manshine, which increased the civil penalties assessed for violations that resulted in death, serious bodily injury, or physical abuse of a person receiving care in a facility licensed by the Department of Social Services. AB 2231 increases the civil penalties for repeat violations other than death or serious bodily injury based on the risk to health or safety of the individual in care. Civil penalties amounts for violations in facilities licensed by DSS have not been increased in almost 30 years. AB 2231 provides a long overdue adjustment by increasing civil penalties and will once again make civil penalties a relevant tool to achieve a compliance in ensuring the health and safety of those in care. I respectfully ask that I vote on this important measure. With me to testify in support, I have Pat Leary from the Department of Social Services and Pat McGinnis from the California Advocates for Nursing Home Reform.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. In support.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Pat Leary, I'm Chief Deputy Director at the Department of Social Services, and we're very appreciative to Mr. Calderon for carrying this bill on our behalf and the administration's behalf. This bill will increase penalties. These penalties have not been increased, with the exception, as Mr. White said, of the two that were increased in Mr. Mainshine's bill 2 years ago. They haven't been increased since the Duke-Majan administration. It has been a very long time, and obviously a lot has happened and a lot has changed since that, not to mention inflation over the years. What we are looking to do is to increase the penalties under all categories by generally from a maximum of $150, which was our current cap. When we had even egregious behavior, the maximum fine that we could levy against non-compliant facilities would be $150. This increases those fines to $500 and up to $1,000 for a repeat violation. What we really want to see from the department's perspective is compliance. We are always trying to achieve better compliance, and this bill will help us and give us those tools in order to do that. We've had a number of meetings on this bill, actually since 2236 was passed, to talk about the need to update and increase all our other fees, and so we've involved a number of the stakeholders. We're continuing to have those conversations. We know there are some issues that we are still working on that we've not yet achieved consensus on. It is our intent to try and get to the very best consensus that we ultimately can. We think everybody's been a very excellent partner in helping us get to some final resolution on these, and so we look forward to continuing to work with them, and we hope that the committee will move the bill forward as we can continue those discussions.
Thank you very much. In support.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat McGinnis, and I'm the Executive Director of California Advocates for Nursing Home Reform. We are in very strong support of AB 2231. DSS fines are meant to better guarantee compliance with California's regulatory system and to promote the health and safety and quality of care of the residents in those facilities. That has not been happening for a number of years, and that's because the fines are so low and have been so low and have really not been enforced to an adequate degree. So minimizing the consequences of regulatory noncompliance is a sure way to erode that guarantee. Another purpose of fines is to promote justice. If our rules are to mean anything, there must be meaningful consequences when they are violated, commensurate with the harm committed and the impact on the victims. There's been a lot of hoopla about the fact that if you kill somebody because of violation of the law in an RCFE, you have to pay a fine of $15,000. And I would submit to you that if that were your mother who were killed by a violation in a residential care facility for the elderly, you wouldn't find $15,000 to own onerous. In fact, what another argument is that, oh, gee, it's so much that we'll be forced to close if we actually have to pay that kind of money. And I say, so be it. Frankly, I think that if you are violating the law and somebody dies and somebody is abused to the effect that you are fined $15,000, you shouldn't be operating an RCFE in California. I support the department's proposal, and I hope you'll vote yes on it. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. In support, please state your name and organization.
Madam Chair, Mark Victoria with AFSCME Local 2620, representing the licensing program analysts that are in the field, standing with the author as well as the department in strong support.
Thank you.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California Chapter, in support.
Thank you.
Lisa Coleman, Executive Director, CalCOA, California Long-Term Care Ombudsman, in strong support.
Thank you.
Hester Kleinstecker, representing the Office of the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman. We also strongly support this bill.
Thank you. Those in opposition? I invite you to come forward to the table. And we'd ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes each. Thank you.
Sure. Heather Harrison with the California Assisted... I'm sorry. I'll be very brief. California Assisted Living Association, we are opposed unless amended. We're very supportive of the goal of the bill. In fact, we're one of the 2 organizations that started this conversation 2 years ago. So we're very appreciative of the stakeholder group effort that's been going on so far. There's been a lot of progress. We have 2 issues that continue to be unresolved, dealing with the definition of a repeat violation and timing for when fines are payable, and we look forward to continued conversations. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Roxanne Gould representing Six Beds, Inc. It's a 6-bed or smaller family-type setting association, residential care facilities for the elderly, mentally ill, and developmentally disabled. There are approximately 12,000 of these homes throughout the state. We've only been organized for 2 years, and we absolutely support the spirit of the bill. We do have some concerns that need to be really drilled down into, but I'm going to defer the rest of my time to George Kutnerian, who is on the board and executive committee of Six Beds.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. The first area of concern that we'd like to address is the size of civil penalties for the most serious violations, which under current law carry civil penalty amounts of $15,000 and $10,000 for the residential care facilities for the elderly and adult residential facilities serving the developmentally disabled regardless of the size of those facilities. We believe the bill should be amended to scale or create a range of penalty amounts for the most serious violations according to the size of the facility, the way current law does for children's homes, child care facilities, and adult daycare facilities, among others. We believe that the 6-bed residential care facilities for the elderly and adult residential facilities that our organization represents are a mostly homogeneous group, easily distinguishable from their larger counterparts in 2 primary ways. First, the 6-bed facilities are small businesses across the board, many of them minority and female-owned. Second, the 6-bed facilities are operated out of single-family homes, which is indicative of the lack of economies of scale that they enjoy. These 2 characteristics clearly highlight that these facilities do not have the same ability to pay as their larger corporate-owned counterparts that operate out of large commercial-type facilities that can house many more residents. Civil penalties should be aimed at altering behavior towards compliance, not putting facilities out of business. But being able to stay in business is exactly what's at stake for many of the small 6-bed facilities if they were to be assessed a civil penalty of either $15,000 or $10,000. Many 6-bed facilities take care of low-income residents. Many of those residents are on SSI. For these types of facilities, a $15,000 or $10,000 penalty can represent months' worth of income. SSI rate's only $10.14 for the facility. 6-bed facilities not only provide care for seniors and developmentally disabled, but they also provide valuable housing, particularly in high cost of living urban areas within a state that is home to 20% of the nation's SSI population. So let's properly calibrate these high-dollar civil penalties according to facility size so that we're not jeopardizing the roof over the heads of many senior and developmentally disabled residents. Given the proposed increases to civil penalties for repeat violations, the second area of concern we'd like to address is the definition of a repeat violation, which we believe would unfairly allow for stiff additional penalties for violations that are factually different and separate. The Department has proposed language that would define a repeat violation as a violation under the same statutory or regulatory combination of letters and numerals. We believe that this definition falls short of addressing the fact that a number of violations with different facts and circumstances could potentially fall under the same statutory or regulatory combination of letters and numerals. This is particularly true in the context of less serious violations, which statistically represent the largest universal violations, may fall under a number of broad catch-all regulations, and therefore are most prone to subjective and inconsistent application of repeat violation labeling by local department staff throughout the state. 6BED recommends two things. First, amend the definition of a repeat violation so that in addition to the deficiency having to fall into the same statutory or regulatory combination of letters and numerals as the prior violation, the deficiency would also have to have a substantially similar factual description as the prior violation. Second, we'd also like to have CCL management approval be required for the imposition of a civil penalty for a repeat violation, which would provide an additional safeguard. And finally, our last area of concern we'd like to address is the timing of civil penalty payments. The bill's most recent version included an amendment that would require licensees be refunded a civil penalty if the licensee prevails in an appeal. On its face, this amendment seems fairly benign, but it actually runs counter to historic practice. Historic practice has been that notice for payment for a civil penalty isn't issued until the licensee has been unsuccessful in the appeal process or has chosen not to appeal. The proposed amendment all but guarantees that the department will move towards requiring payment of civil penalties up front. Requiring upfront payment of newly increased civil penalties before waiting for completion of the appeal process creates an economic burden for licensees, especially those licensees that are small businesses. This is akin to being required to pay a traffic fine before having your day in court. Under the current appeal process, which took effect on January 1 of this year, if an appeal proceeds through two levels, we're talking about a response from the department of up to 120 business days, which translates to almost 6 calendar months or potentially longer if additional supporting documentation is requested during the appeal process. Importantly, the department's position also assumes that their new appeal process will function normally. However, historically, we know that the appeal process has been highly dysfunctional, with some licensees still waiting for a response years after submitting their appeal. Although we are encouraged by the new licensee appeal process that took effect on January 1, the new process does not have any meaningful track record that the department can point to. Unfortunately, if the department does not respond in a timely manner to an appeal, there is very little that licensees can pursue in the way of recourse, even under the new appeal process. In that way, collection of civil penalties on the back end of an appeal is the only true incentive for the department to complete appeals in a timely manner. For all these reasons presented today and additional reasons outlined in our comment letter, we respectfully request your no votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those in opposition, please just state your name and organization. We're not going to be hearing statements, just name and organization and that you oppose.
I'm Ron Simpson. I have residential care homes in Mission Viejo. I'm a member of 6BEDS, and I'm opposed without these three changes that George is talking about.
Thank you.
I'm Gina Wasdike, and I have homes in Sacramento County and El Dorado County, and I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Angelita Marinda. I am a member of a nonprofit organization called 6BEDS. I oppose this bill.
Okay, thank you. Next.
My name is Edith Tocado, a 6-bed residential care facility for the elderly. I oppose.
Thank you.
Candace Bright, VIP Care Facilities, Bright Future Residential, and I oppose.
Sandy Penley, Penley Care Home, Valley Springs, and I oppose.
Menchu Montilla, I have residential care facilities for the elderly in San Francisco and San Mateo County. I oppose.
Good afternoon, Dori Paniza. I have a care home in San Francisco, San Bruno, and South San Francisco. I'm strongly opposed. Thank you very much.
I'm Deali Punla. I'm from San Francisco. I own 2 residential care homes in San Francisco, and I oppose.
I'm Archie Punla, and I own the residential care facility in San Francisco, and I strongly oppose.
Good afternoon. My name is Carmen Palarca, and I have a facility in San Francisco, and I oppose. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Lillian Sisayan, and I have 5 facilities, and I strongly oppose.
Antonio Tacalo from Brentwood, East Bay area, operating 6-bed facility,
organization is a 6-bed that I oppose. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Myra Sanchinel, and I am from ENIAC, and I oppose.
I'm Glacy Dayton from Antioch, California, and I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Julio Sarceño. I come from Antioch, California. I am strongly opposed.
I'm Jess Natividad from Pleasanton and from 6 beds. I oppose unless amended.
My name is Nora Sangalang. I have a care facility at South San Francisco, only one, and I oppose.
Hi, my name is Josie Manalo. I have a residential care facility for the elderly in South San Francisco. I oppose. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Olivia Dianda. 2 homes, 6 beds from South San Francisco. Oppose unless amended. Thank you.
I'm Pros Gonzalez. I have homes in San Francisco and San Mateo. I oppose.
My name is Elaine Fulgado. I only own 1 bed, which is, one facility, 5 beds, and I oppose.
Good afternoon. I'm Lorna Farrell from San Francisco, member of 6 beds. I oppose. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina. I own a facility at San Bruno, California, and I oppose. Thank you.
Lenny Lacap serving the elderly RCFE facility, Solano County, I oppose.
Araceli Aguilar from San Bruno, and I oppose.
I'm Isabel Puruganan. We have care facilities for the elderly in Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill, and I strongly oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Don Turner. I'm out of the Los Angeles area. I represent 10 care providers in the Pasadena and LA area, and without the changes, we oppose.
I am Nestor Uif, and I have facilities in Antioch, Brentwood, and Concord, and I oppose without the changes.
I'm Victoria Lingbanan. I own a residential care homes for elderly, and I oppose.
Hi, I'm Deanna Panetta. I'm representing more than 10 facilities that are caring for the mentally ill, but that are only receiving 10, 14 per month. And these civil penalties will close them, and I oppose.
Thank you.
My name is Domingo Palarca. We are operating 2 residential care homes, and I oppose.
Hi, my name is Raquel Hurst. I'm serving the developmentally disabled young adults, and I oppose. My facility is in Concord.
Hi, I'm Lila Panetta. I represent the board and care homes for the greater Sacramento County area for the mentally ill who only pay SSI, and I oppose.
I'm Seni Miyazaki. I'm an elderly care home owner in Concord, California. And I'm getting ready to close because this is a hard business. So please, I oppose this without those amendments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Joanne Mogadam. I have 1 residential care facility for the elderly in Lafayette, and I oppose.
Del Pilarski from Pleasant Hill for elderly residential care home. I oppose unless amended.
My name is Ryan Robertson. I'm a nursing student at Sacramento State. I oppose unless amended.
Thank you. Do I have questions from committee members? Mr. Stone.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Calderon, for really picking up where Mr. Mainshine left off a couple of years ago. We had a broad conversation, as you're aware, trying to deal with fines and penalties, and that bill, Mr. Mainshine's bill, was narrowed down to the death and serious bodily injury bill. And at that point, everyone was saying, we understand the high fines and fees, or the fines for that circumstance. So that part I'm a little concerned about, that now is too high, when I think it was really undefensible to say that that somebody dies, there's serious bodily harm, and the very, very low fines that were available at the time were just absolutely untenable. I guess, and I'm not quite sure I do understand the issues that are being brought up now about the timing, and it sounds like you're working forward on that. With the repeat violations, I would just caution that we don't want to be in a situation where there's a facility that has multiple violations. Maybe they're not technically the same, but that's a pretty good indication that there's a serious issue with that facility. So I think we need to make sure that we structure the fines and penalties statute that takes all of that into account, and I know that you're aware of this. But it's good that this conversation has been going on the last couple of years. I think that with Mr. Mainshine and I brought this to, I can remember sitting in the Senate and talking about this exact issue, and it was a number of 6-bed owners and others who raised some of the concerns that allowed the conversation to stop at that point and move to what seems like a productive conversation right now around this, where this is. So I do appreciate, I'm sure Mr. Mainshine appreciates that you picked up the ball on this issue. It's a very significant one, and I'm glad we're seeing getting to the point where we can codify what we really need to protect the people who are in these facilities.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Thurman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the author. I just want to understand logistically. I'm sympathetic to many of the smaller business owners who are here today. We hear you that this is a very hard business, and we appreciate you providing great care. It's just hard for me to not accept that even $15,000 is too low of a price if someone should lose their life. And that's not to be targeted or mean toward the people who care for the elderly or people with developmental disabilities. And so I hear your struggle, but I just feel like we have to put some value to preserving life if we can. And obviously, if the life is lost. I am curious, though, don't the providers have to have some form of liability insurance that provides revenue to pay in the untimely occurrence if there is a death?
We're now required to carry, regardless of size, so even the 6-bed homes have to carry $3 million aggregate liability insurance, $1 million per occurrence annually. And so those translate to thousands of dollars in insurance premiums now. And so that's our concern is, are civil penalties are they supposed to serve as a proxy for the court system? Because if someone wants to file a case in court, there's $3 million of coverage now across the board, which that wasn't necessarily in place across the board, especially with the 6-bed facilities before. I understand. But that passed. So, we think that that's already in place. And so we're not stopping families. And we're not saying let's have, insignificant penalties, but the penalties should be proportional. So, if you have a big facility with a $15,000 penalty, that affects them differently than it does a 6-bed facility.
I understand that's your position. What I really wanted to ask the author and the representatives if the agencies, because they have these liability insurances, if some of that insurance can be used to offset the cost to the fees or not.
Yeah, it's our understanding as the department that insurance policies do not cover civil penalties. Generally, they're excluded from their
coverage. Understood, and I understand that there are rising costs, including insurance. I just think about it like this. If we had to speak to a loved one or someone who lost someone, I don't think there's any amount that we could say that would satisfy that individual. And I would think shame on us as a state if we did not create some penalty fee that says, and I believe that everyone who is here today is a good actor, but when there is a bad actor, that there needs to be a fee. One is a fine as a deterrent, and second as a way of really addressing those issues. So thank you for your testimony. Thank you to the author. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do think that, and I'm glad to hear on the issue of when the fees are paid, there could still be some work done. I do want to also comment that we had a number more witnesses who did come to testify who did have to leave in opposition to catch a plane, but I did want to recognize, and we saw them here and understood that they were here in opposition. And we apologize for the length of the hearing. We can't control that, but I just wanted to let the other members of the public know that was registered. But on the issue of when the assessed fees should be paid, I can understand to this issue of scale and cash flow that there could be some very particular problems there, and I think there's this fundamental understanding of having your day in court and your appeal. Do you think this is something you continue to work on?
So I met with the 6 beds today. It's their lobby day today. They came into my office and we had a long, robust conversation about these issues. They brought up 3 concerns: timing of payments, definition of repeat violations, as well as the scaled fines. I expressed willingness to work on the first 2. I had issues reconciling within myself how to move to a scalability when it comes to you're dealing with a death due to a negligent act or acts. So I still remain firm, not working on that issue, because I am firm on that issue. But when it comes to the other 2 issues, I understand where they're coming from. I'm more than happy to work with them on these issues, and I appreciate it. I thought we had a really good conversation. But during the course of that conversation, what I really got out of it is that their concern is less about this bill and more about the concerns that they have of the enforcement arm within the department, and maybe inconsistencies that they see, which is not this bill. And so I think that they understood where I was coming from. I understood where they were coming from. This bill is not to say that we believe everybody to be a bad actor, because we don't. But we do need to have systems in place to make sure that those that are bad actors don't muddy the waters or scum up the pool for everyone. So I would commit to continue to work on those 2 issues, which I have just expressed now. And I do appreciate the committee's indulgence. It's been a busy day for me.
Yeah. No, it has been for everyone. You're not the only one. And I'm supposed to be in health right now. Yeah. I understand the concern around enforcement. Having dealt with the Department of Consumer Affairs and licensees and enforcement for the last 2.5 years, I can really appreciate the fact that no fault, and not deliberately, but there can certainly be issues around the consistency of enforcement and the treatment of licensees. That's why in DCA we have sunset, which basically every few years we actually have the hearing where we go back, and I would suggest that might be something you would consider in the bill, to look at a few years out. How's it working? Is it happening in a timely fashion? Are the it's the idea, I think, of giving licensees the opportunity to express their concerns. And so I just would put that out there as something that might be something that you would want to consider at a point in time, and have some, targets that you would be, really looking at, and some data that you would really be looking at that future point in time, to measure the success of the bill.
Yeah, and I did mention to them the interest in looking at the issue of enforcement, if there is anything there, and working with the department, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I do believe that is. My understanding was that was really where their concern truly was.
And we appreciate Mr. Calderon's willingness to work with us.
Yeah, that would be great, because we know the department will be collecting all the data, and it's simply finishing the communication loop so the legislature gets that data back and can look at what is the impact of this bill and how is it being enforced and implemented. Well, thank you so much.